guys, welcome to this Patreon video with myself, Jim, Punk Raider, and Denver Dave in their respective boxes. Hey, hello, Henry. I'm sure we'll touch on that.
Doesn't look too happy, does Henry, does he?
No, the idea of today's pod was supposed to be the trade recap, but we're also going to be hitting on some other news that's going on. I'm not in my normal place. I'm actually in a hotel. I've penetrated the north. So I am near the third largest city in England. That's an inside joke there.
Sheffield?
No, not Sheffield. Not Sheffield. Dave thought it was, but no, I'm actually very near to Leeds with work. So, and it's not during work hours right now, guys. We can confirm it is the evening. It is dark outside. So I'm not skipping work to do this pod.
So you've skipped work, gone to Leeds, rented some dodgy hooky hotel room, and we're supposed to believe that you haven't got someone sat in the bathroom.
Hotel room. I've been around this room with a black light, Punk, and it's like a Jackson Pollock. It wasn't when I got here, but it is now.
Is it rented by the hour?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to get out of here by 2:00 in the morning because all my money's run out by then. But
there is someone sitting in the bathroom, but unfortunately they're tied up.
Vibrates as well.
Yeah, I've told them not. I put the gags in the mouth so they can't say anything until we finish this. So let's get on with this. So
Halloween is officially over, which means it's nearly Christmas, right?
Pretty much. I mean, they have been letting off fireworks.
Thanksgiving first, surely.
Check it out.
Very nice.
Broncos Christmas hat. I found it the other day. Rocking it early. Hey,
that
man,
belongs on the fire.
You love it. Come on. I bought it in Denver and I completely forgot I had it, and I found it was clearing out the loft doing the decorations and that. Look at that.
Okay.
Beautiful. You don't look impressed. I mean, I expect the Raiders fan not to be impressed, but come on, Jim. You've got poor taste. We know that.
Can we talk about some trade news? Because obviously the biggest bit of trade news happened before the deadline, and that was that the Denver Broncos have agreed to trade with 8-time Pro Bowl linebacker Von Miller to the Los Angeles Rams for a second and a third round pick in the 2022 draft. The Broncos will also pay $9 million of Miller's remaining $9.7 million base salary for the remaining 9 games of the regular season. This leaves the Rams with just 4 picks in next year's draft. There's a third round comp for hiring Brad Holmes, a 5th round pick, and 2 7th round picks. Their first rounder went to the Lions for Matt Stafford, their second and third to Broncos for Von Miller. The 4th went as part of the Brandon Cooks trade to the Texans, and the 6th round pick was given to the Patriots for Sony Michel. So Rams do not like drafting, and they're shit at it when they do.
No, I think they just want extra extended holidays in April and May, don't they? So if you don't have the rookies coming in, you don't have to worry about it, do you?
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, if they get compensatory picks, there is the possibility that they're going to have 3 more 6th rounders. So you know, I don't think they are shit at drafting. They've picked up a couple of players who have done pretty well for them in recent years. Van Jefferson, for example,
in the 2nd round.
Jared Goff in the first round.
Jared Goff, first overall pick.
You're going back quite a way now. I'm talking about Van Jefferson. Who was the safety they got as well? What was his name?
Taylor Rapp.
Taylor Rapp. Taylor Rapp's okay. He's not bad. Apart from constantly shouting about a new contract, but
by and large,
there's other
teams
which are a lot worse.
I just don't think they enjoy doing it. I think that's the difference, isn't it? I think
why everyone else is busy, they enjoy the week off.
Exactly, and spend time looking at those undrafted free agents and so on and so forth. But
the thing is, if they've got a 2nd and 3rd round pick, if they pick players in the 2nd and 3rd round, which one of those is really going to impact the starting lineup either side of the ball?
Cooper Kupp.
No,
third round, wasn't he?
Yes, but you would not expect someone to come in and be an instant upgrade, whereas Von Miller is. I think it makes sense for both sides. The Broncos essentially got a 3rd round for Von Miller and then purchased a 2nd round for $9 million. That is essentially what has happened. And it works for the Broncos. It obviously works for the Rams. I mean, that defensive line now that they've got just got a lot better.
You get a lot of drop off on age, don't you? Because if you think we traded Khalil Mack and got 2 first rounders, a 3rd rounder, and something else,
well, you've also got to think.
So
and that's he's only what 5 years younger than.
Yeah, but you've got to think that the Bears, you have to bring in the idiot factor.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not
That's
saying you were
Ryan
going to be
Pace
able to
will,
fleece the
will
Rams.
make a deal at any
And
time.
you've kind of just done Von a solid, haven't you? And said, go and see if you can get yourself another ring.
Yeah.
So
100%.
thank you for your service, and not here's your gold clock, and off you go.
But I think the issue is that I think there's 2 points to it for the Broncos. Number one, it gives us depth and trading power. It gives us more options, and I think it makes perfect sense for everyone involved. The second thing is that offensive line for the Rams is just now got significantly better. And how many times defensive line? Sorry, how many times have we seen players move towards the twilight of their career and have an amazing finish to their career? DeMarcus Ware, for a start, he was injured a lot in
Dallas,
and went to the Broncos, had a magnificent end to his career, ended up winning a Super Bowl ring. Same things happened with Von. One of the reasons that it's only a third round pick is out of the last 24 games, Von Miller's played 7. One of those was an ACL, but there was a couple of other little injuries in Knox as well.
Yeah, but it's cold. It's cold in Denver in football season. You know what I mean?
There
do you
is
really want to be
weed
getting
as
off
well.
that bench? You know what I mean?
Well, it's not
yeah, but
always
California,
cold.
you know what I mean? Nice and warm. Still got the legal weed. Easy life.
I think the one thing that's noticeable in listening to Von, because I'm making the assumption that I listen to his interviews a lot more than either of you two guys. He's now got a new family as well. And he talks a lot more in his interviews
What happened to his old one?
I didn't want him. They were in a car until Henry Ruggs hit him.
Oh my God!
Is that too soon? Too soon.
We went from a dad joke to a Frankie Boyle joke. So let's go back to what we were talking about here. Von Miller, he's got a family.
Strip that one out. So he's now talking a lot more about family and wanting to spend time with them and having that work-life balance.
Dom Toretto.
Yeah, and I think isn't he the guy from
Fast and Furious?
Yeah.
You're always going on about family, isn't
he? Yeah.
I've
all about the family.
I've never seen the Fast and Furious. I saw half of one, and it was rubbish, so I never bothered.
Well, instead of doing draft analysis, then in like March, you can go and watch all 9 Fast and Furious films and come back and report on them.
I'm not watching 9.
At the moment, you better watch them now before more turn up.
I was going to say there'll probably be a 10th by next year. So
I mean, if I've waited this long, I'm sure I can wait a little bit longer. Although I did watch
binge them in one go.
18th version of Halloween the other day. Back to you. I think it suits everyone involved. The Broncos wouldn't have made this trade a year ago, though. They wouldn't have had the balls to trade this a year ago. They wouldn't have had the ingenuity to say, we'll pay you $9 million for a second round pick.
So what's changed?
GM. We're doing things. You have to admit, there's no way Elway's making this trade. There's no way he's essentially pissing off a lot of the fan base, not the ones who, I don't want to say understand football because that makes me sound like I'm blowing smoke up my own arse, but it's the ones who get the situation. Von's 31. He's not 36. He's 31 years old and still, he's lost that instant twitch, but he's still a bloody good, outside linebacker. There's no issue with that, but it's essentially making the right move because we paid him $20 million this year. We're going to continue to pay that. I mean, we've still got a lot of draft capital now, so there's no issue continuing to pay it. And next year, it puts us in a phenomenal position cap-wise and gives us more options in the draft. It's just a win all over.
But what about personally then? Because obviously he was a first-round pick for you. He was the face of the franchise. He did get the Super Bowl win early on in his career,
and he has
been the model
MVP.
Professional for you. You must be gutted to see him leave, just the quality going out the door.
I am, but I think we haven't had him for so long that it's not as though someone's walking out the door who's been crucial for the past 18 months. We've had to do without him anyway, so why not make that role and say, look, go somewhere and try and be successful. I don't begrudge him that. I mean, go and get more rings. He's not going to get more rings than Denver. We know that. That's it's no secret. So why don't you say just go and have more rings? Go for it. Why not? I don't begrudge him it one bit. I wish him all the luck in the world. And I picked the Rams at the beginning of the season.
So did I.
So did you. I think Jim picked the Giants. I'm not sure. And I wish him the absolute best of luck because with Leonard Floyd one side, with Donald in the middle, and then Von Miller on the other side. Core blimey,
Jalen Ramsey on the corner.
I think I picked him for the Super Bowl, to get there.
I've got them. I think preseason I went Bills Rams as the Super Bowl.
That's not a bad shout, Bills Rams.
Now the Titans are crocked. It's looking quite tasty for the Bills.
So that's the Von Miller trade then. That's done.
Yeah.
That was the biggest one. There was one from Pittsburgh as well. So the Steelers traded outside linebacker Melvin Ingram III to the Kansas City Chiefs in exchange for a 2022 sixth-round pick. Ingram was a former Pro Bowler who spent 9 seasons with the Chargers, signed a 1-year deal with the Steelers before training camp as a rotational outside linebacker, but recently expressed frustration over his role playing just 26% of his snaps against the Seahawks at the start of the season. He was on around 80%. So there was a very quick drop-off from Ingram. Now, he
was obviously on a deal where he had to play X amount of snaps to get paid.
Possibly, but I think this feels more like a LeGarrette Blount situation we had a few years ago, where we brought in someone who'd been with a team for a long time, instantly didn't enjoy himself where he was, and he just wanted out, and so he started kicking up a stink. We stopped playing him as a result because he was noticeably kicking up a stink, and so it just made sense to move him on, and the Chiefs have given up a 6th-round pick for it. So I think it suits everyone. Whether he's going to do the same thing again in Kansas, I wouldn't bet against it, because
let's be honest,
getting that way in LA as well. He looked like he was just uncomfortable, whatever it was.
Yeah, but let's be honest, he's going to go to Kansas and he's going to play every single snap because they've got absolutely nothing on defense. So
he's getting on a bit. So
he's either going to play every single snap or he's going to get injured. Something's going to happen. But he won't kick up a fuss, I don't think, from lack of playing time. So good luck to him.
We'll see. I'm not bothered that he's gone. I was happy when he joined because he has got a pedigree, but he didn't really fulfill it, and he quickly became quite toxic. So need to move on from that. Can't have it in the dressing room. Talking of toxic in the dressing room, there was a trade that didn't go through that was rumored. And although the Miami Dolphins did due diligence on Deshaun Watson and had conversations with the Texans, they did not make a trade offer for the quarterback before Tuesday's NFL deadline. The Dolphins owner Stephen Ross had contingencies that needed to be met for any deal, made the final decision not to move forward, according to Adam Schefter. Watson had asked for a trade last January because he was unhappy with Houston taking Nick Caserio as the new GM.
You can't trade for Watson at the moment because you don't know where he stands with his legal issues.
You can't play him.
It's as simple as that. You can't play him. All you're going to be doing is paying him to hang around. There was absolutely no point. And I think we said this when this first all started coming out a few weeks ago. It's like they can talk to their heart's content. They're not going to pull the trigger on it.
No.
And they didn't. So, once again, we were proved right.
Yeah,
they just listen to us more.
It's just ridiculous.
They just need to listen to us more and then react off what we tell them. It's fairly simple, lads.
So I was looking at a bit of the timeline as to what's likely to happen. And as far as I know, it hit the legal sort of deadline for anything to be issued towards a grand jury. So the way it works in America, it's not like a CPS where the Crown Prosecution Service decide whether the charge is going to be brought. What happens is the DA will take it to a grand jury who will then vote to decide whether charges should be brought and it should go to trial. And the date for that, I believe, for 10 of the 22 civil lawsuits, to see whether those civil lawsuits will become criminal lawsuits, is February. So that's potentially the earliest point, by which time you've missed all of the season. So there doesn't appear to be any great rush from that perspective. If something was to happen sooner, the NFL, and Roger Goodell especially, has always said that there will be no interference from the NFL on legal issues until a police investigation has been completed. He's not currently on the exempt list, but I think there's a good chance he's not on the exempt list simply because he's not playing. He's not even training with the other players. He sort of goes into the building and goes on an exercise bike in another room and no one sees him, just so he doesn't get fined. There's a very good chance that once the FBI have continued and concluded the investigations, and the police have filed the complaint, at the moment there's the distinct possibility that the civil lawsuits can then become criminal, and that's the issue, because a civil lawsuit is a complaint between two people. So it's me saying to Jim, I don't like the fact that you're drinking tea out of a non-Denver Broncos mug. It can literally be that. It can be Jim saying you're editing it to make the podcast sound like I'm a bloody idiot, which, make your own opinion about that. But that's essentially a civil lawsuit. It's only when something becomes criminal that you then have to, it then becomes much more serious.
I've got
QC Dave.
I've watched a lot of Law and Order.
That's what I was going to say.
He knows a lot about the CPS as well.
Well, one of the journalists said that he was speaking to an agency called Athletes First, and I think they represent Melvin Ingram. They're the actual agents, and they were basically saying that at the moment a lot of the talking has been done from Deshaun Watson's agent rather than Deshaun Watson's representatives. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the difference is between the two of those. But it does make it seem that is more likely to remain civil than criminal because of that, which I don't know. I don't know. That was just a statement that they specifically made.
Well,
so there you go.
There we go. Still in the mire.
Essentially, it's going to be going on for quite a while, so it shouldn't shock anyone that nothing.
Basically, what it does is it gives Tua 9 games to save his job. Simple as that. If he can't step up, then they're going to trade for him next season if he's available.
So on Tua, I'm not going to say impressed because that's the wrong word, but I think he's massively improved on last season. And the only thing you can really ask for is an improvement year on year from a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
He has got better. He still looks a bit dodgy in certain times. I think he throws the ball into areas he shouldn't throw it, and leads receivers into areas that they shouldn't be trying to catch the ball in. But overall, I think he's been much, much better.
Yeah, there are definitely flashes of quality there, and he's a very accurate passer of the ball. So you're kind of halfway there. But yeah,
I'd take him in Denver considering what we've got at the moment.
We've got a couple of smaller trades just to round out the overall trade deadline stuff. So Eagles acquired cornerback Kerry Vincent Jr. from the Broncos for a 2022 6th-round pick, as per Tom Pelissero. Vincent's a 7th-round pick out of LSU. He hasn't played yet this season. He opted out of LSU in 2020. So I'm guessing you don't know much about him then, Dave.
Did we draft him?
Yeah.
Or did someone else draft him and we pick him up on waivers? I mean, he's never played a snap. He was never likely to with us picking up someone in the first round. It's probably a punt that didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
We get a 6th-round back. I mean, it works for me. It's change.
Yeah. The Jets have traded for former Chiefs guard Lauren Duvernay-Tardif, with tight end Dan Brown going the other way to help out in Kansas. They've got a few new offensive linemen, haven't they? So Duvernay-Tardif was probably just the odd man out because they're paying Joe Thuney, aren't they, a load of money at guard
to do nothing.
Well,
Jets are paying a lot of people to do nothing.
This is true.
And the last one, the Texans were hoping for a big year from Charles Omenihu after his 16 QB hits were tied for the most on the team in 2020. But the 2019 5th-round pick was a healthy scratch for 2 games this season, and now is the latest Texans player to be moved before the deadline. The 49ers have picked him up to strengthen their defensive line. So that's actually a pretty good move, I think, for the 49ers, because he does look dangerous.
Yeah, but he's gone to the 49ers, so he'll be injured this week. That's just the way it goes. You get to the 49ers, you get injured. Everyone knows
that. No, I mean, it does make sense from a positional play perspective. I'm sure he's glad to be out of Houston as well. So, I think everyone concerned will be quite happy with that one. Hopefully he can make a difference and stays fit and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
It'll be
those are the big trades. There are some other teeny tiny trades I'm not even going to talk about, but that was trade. It was fairly underwhelming. Most trade deadlines kind of are nowadays. You don't get too many.
Yeah, you
massive
normally get a
moves.
few. I mean, without the Von Miller and Melvin Ingram trade, it would have been crap. I mean, it would have been really crap.
Joe
'cause
Flacco to the
literally,
Jets.
yeah.
Joe Flacco.
Don't
Do
need
you
him.
want
We got Mike White
do you
there.
want more Flacco? Do you want more Flacco stats?
I would love some more
Well,
Flacco facts.
do we not need to discuss the trade that didn't go through that someone's dad was trying to
OBJ,
engineer?
your too
OBJ,
overrated wide receiver.
Mr. Diva,
Yep.
who has now officially been told, or whose teammates have officially been told that he's essentially not part of the team.
I mean, for anyone that doesn't know that, we've done a few videos on Patreon, because this one's going to be a free video on Patreon that anyone can watch. We've done a few videos of most underrated quarterback. Did we do overrated quarterback?
We did.
We did underrated quarterback, overrated quarterback.
I did Baker Mayfield, and then we did underrated and overrated non-quarterbacks. And for the most overrated non-quarterback, I picked OBJ. And Punk did exactly the same. So he picked OBJ as well. So for anyone who didn't see that, it was a nice coincidence that we agreed.
And we don't agree on much, to be honest. So there's got to be
very
something in it.
Yeah, I've known you for almost a couple of decades now, and
Almost.
we don't agree on very much a lot of the time.
Yeah. So
Silly boy.
well,
yeah.
it's
So
difficult to know who would
OBJ
take him.
So all I've seen is the strapline that came up saying OBJ's been excused from Cleveland. So fill me in with the rest of it. What's going on that we know of, anyway?
Well, we don't really, do we?
We don't know a huge amount with OBJ. I mean, it sounds like his dad started throwing around some ultimatums on Twitter or something a few hours before the deadline, or a day or so before the deadline.
Hasn't he?
LeBron put something out. I can't remember exactly what it was, but LeBron said something about
LeBron around the basketball player.
Yes, as in LeBron James. Yeah.
Okay. I thought
how
I'd
many
missed
LeBrons
something
do you know then?
Something
not
around
many.
something around the lines of, Cleveland's not big enough for the two of us type thing.
Not in Cleveland.
He's in LA.
Yeah.
Oh no, was he trying to get him to LA? I can't remember exactly what it was now.
It was more about like freeing him or something.
It's something, something to do with getting him out of Cleveland. Anyway, there was a whole thing with his dad and LeBron and this, that, and the other. I mean, whether it was orchestrated, who knows? But I think he was just trying to. He's basically annoyed at Baker because he's not throwing him the ball, and Baker's not throwing him the ball because he doesn't catch the ball. So, it's kind of that.
More likely that Baker Mayfield's throwing him the ball, but just missing him by a mile.
Well, yeah, that could also be the case. But for whatever reason,
as well.
OBJ's decided that Cleveland's no longer the place for him, so wants to go wherever, I guess. And I guess LeBron
he didn't want to go there in the first place. Let's be fair,
Well, no, of course he didn't. But it would never be anyone's first choice.
No,
let's be honest about it. But you can't just force your way out because your dad and your mate think it'd be a good idea. It's
I'm
just
assuming
insane.
There has to be a market for him. I mean, for the love of God, I can't understand why.
Of course there is, because he's still a wide receiver that has proven himself in the league. So he will, like Randy Moss, get chance after chance after chance.
But what I mean though is there has to be for him to come out and make noise. There must have been someone out there actively.
Of course,
which also means that there must be someone who was quite close to the asking price. Now I'm assuming the asking price is probably a second. I mean, it's not a first. It can't be a first.
It's more likely to be someone's approached his agent, made a load of noise about, if you make a load of noise and get the price down, we can probably come in with this rather than what Cleveland want. And do it that way. It's just tapping up, basically.
Cleveland are going to want a second. They're not going to get a second, but they're going to want a second. And who's going to be crazy enough to want to offer that for OBJ or anything even close to that. So who are the best suitors that are?
Oh, let's look at the fact that LeBron was talking about LA. So you're looking at the Rams and the Chargers.
The Rams don't have a second anymore. I mean,
well, they don't anymore, but
receiver, aren't they, at the moment?
Raiders have recently released a receiver for some unknown reason as well. So you know, it's there are a few options out there in, let's say, more.
The Raiders aren't normally sort of aggressive in trading for other players.
No, but I'm talking more about the city now. So actually, is someone with Odell Beckham's attitude and personality fitting better in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, or Cleveland?
I see him more of an.
Do you see what I mean?
Kind of a guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not going to happen, is it? So
Green Bay. I mean, rural Green Bay, Wisconsin. He'd love that.
Obviously, well, rural Green Bay, Wisconsin, where COVID seems to be rampant. So.
We'll get to that again in a minute as well. That's a good segue. That's a good segue. I want to talk about Ruggs quickly because we have had some updates from the police about it. So he was accused of doing 156 miles an hour just before hitting this Toyota in his Corvette. His blood alcohol level was twice the legal limit, and he had a loaded gun in the car.
Oh wow!
And his girlfriend.
And his
girlfriend was in the car as well. Yeah.
So that's the triple.
Yeah. He was in court earlier today.
Yeah. He's basically pled guilty straight away, hasn't he? And the Raiders have released Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, we released him before he even had his court date. We released him last night, basically, just off the back of whatever evidence was provided privately to the Raiders. But yeah, apparently he was still going 127 miles an hour when the airbags deployed.
Yeah.
So, that, and his blood alcohol was double the legal limit.
So I've just done a little bit of Googling, and in case anyone's wondering, the blood alcohol limit for a DUI in Nevada is exactly the same as the UK. So easy comparison, 0.35 milligrams or 0.8 in the American measurement, which I now forget what it is, but yeah, 0.8 is I think it was 2 pints. So it's basically had 4 pints.
Something like that.
Had to do 100 and what was it?
156.
156, yeah.
He was doing that 2 seconds.
In my life. I've been on a racetrack.
You haven't got a car that could do 158.
I mean, it could do 158 off cliff. I bought a new car today. Both of them combined couldn't do 158.
Strap them together.
Yeah. You know how much of a fan of strap-ons I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a bad situation. I think we said everything that we can say in the main pod, but I like the fact the Raiders moved so swiftly on it. There was no, well, we'll wait and see whether he gets charged, or we'll wait. You know what I mean? It was literally a case of, right, we know the facts, even though they haven't been released to everybody else. They knew the facts, and straight away it was released and done.
The only thing I was a bit I would have liked different terminology. I would have liked the Raiders, and this isn't a criticism of the Raiders, this is just wording of it. I would have liked to have come out and fired him. Rather than releasing him, I would have liked to have said, we fired him. Just as, do you know what I mean in terms of that terminology, and just saying, look.
The problem with that is the legal issue of
I'm sure
if you fire someone, then that's a whole different ballgame if you release 100%. Somebody. So I don't think legally they would have been able to fire him as such. Not in the same sense of you would lose your job or I would lose my job.
Yeah. But I think I would have liked to have seen that. I know full well, as you say, from a legal perspective, that could end up costing them millions. But it would have been nice to say, look, he's been fired rather than he's been released. Because
at the end of the day, he's never playing in the NFL again. So I mean, he's going to prison for somewhere between 2 and 20 years. So I mean,
there's always.
I'm pretty certain it's going to be at the top end of that, and he's it's going to be 10 years plus, I would expect. But
I don't mind.
It's a shame. It's a shame
because he on there, because there's a fine line you've got to straddle between piling onto this guy and allowing some sort of, rehabilitation in the future, because at some point he's got to come out and he's still got to live his life. He's still gonna be haunted by what's happened. And there have been, I've been watching on Twitter, there have been still some Raider fans just going, oh, why have we released him? Why can't we just be like arm over his shoulder kind of thing? Why aren't we supporting him? So, well,
there's a real simple answer to that.
He's done something. He needs to be accountable for it. There's nothing the Raiders can do about that.
No,
I think they played it perfectly. I think you're right, Punk, that this is different from the old Raiders in what they would have done with this. They would have probably been, let's wait and see.
Exactly, and they would have looked for the loophole.
Yeah. So no, I agree with how they've played this one. I think they've done it how you should do it.
I think as I say, it wasn't a criticism in saying that they've released him and they should have fired him. I think from that perspective, in an ideal world, it would have been nice to see. Sorry, you saw me disappear off. I had to go and get a charger, otherwise I was going to disappear.
Let's be honest. In an ideal world, Henry Ruggs would have pulled out his phone and used Uber, or phoned Derek Carr and said, "Come and get me," or done anything other than what he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mentioned in the last podcast that one of my major fears was that one mistake can ruin yours and someone else's life.
Mm-hmm.
But by the sounds of what you said, doing 100 and something miles an hour isn't that one mistake, that one momentary lapse in concentration, that one moment that can define yours and someone else's life. It's a series of mistakes by an idiot that have led to someone being killed, basically. And that's not I don't want to say it's not acceptable, because that's too weak, but everyone knows what I'm trying to say. It's not something unfortunate that's happened. It's something ridiculous, unfortunately.
It's truly horrific.
It's not an accident. It's a
her
willful
dog burned
act.
alive in the car because they couldn't get out.
Yeah. It's a horrific set of circumstances brought about by one person's selfishness.
I mean, some people have been referencing Dante Stallworth as someone that had a similar situation, but got a much lighter sentence. He wasn't in Vegas, so different states have different rules. He only got like a couple of days in prison, and then was out of the league for about 2 years, and then came back and still had a career. But this is a completely different situation. Everything is different about what's happened here. So yeah, I'm expecting at least 10 years plus on there.
I'll be shocked if it's not.
Yeah. Anyway, from that dark and depressing stuff, we're going to end on a slightly ridiculous but potentially funny story, and that is around Aaron Rodgers, last year's MVP, the quarterback for the 7-1 Green Bay Packers, getting ready to play the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. And it turns out that Aaron Rodgers has COVID, which, okay, people get COVID. Even if you're vaccinated, you still get it. But Mr. Rodgers did not get vaccinated. He had an alternative treatment. So when he was asked previously, are you vaccinated? He would say, I'm immunized, which is very subtle difference here between being immunized and being vaccinated.
From the sounds of the details, there's not a very subtle difference. There's a colossal difference in the fact that he's not vaccinated at all, and he's been injecting himself with marmalade or whatever
it's that dictionary definition, isn't it, between the two, is the subtle difference bit. Actually, when you push Aaron Rodgers and get him to actually give you the answers, then there is a gaping chasm between the two things.
Now, the NFL have rejected his petition to have this alternative treatment recognized as the same as the vaccination. So there are different rules. If you are vaccinated, if you're unvaccinated, you just have to pass negative on a couple of tests over a few days after first testing positive, and you can go back on the field. If you're unvaccinated, you're donezo's for at least a week, maybe 14 days.
I think it's 10 days, isn't it?
Yeah, 10 to 14 days
total. Yeah.
So there is no way he's playing on Sunday against the Chiefs.
So does this mean we can change our picks if we feel like it?
I feel pretty good though on my Chiefs Island. Well, you on the pod, you said the Packers, mate. So
I've
you're in
already
for a
done it. Now.
penny,
I've already
in
changed
for a
it.
pound. Well, the good news, Dave,
Already
is
changed
that
it.
the good news before you do that, okay, the Packers are looking to bring back Blake Bortles.
Come on.
But-
I mean, this
but-
has to be
but
Jordan.
surely-
Love.
Surely
Love
Jordan
Blake.
loves. You just turn it over to the love machine and away he goes.
They obviously don't trust the interception love machine to get it done. So, yes, Blake Bortles, the man, might be
Former
making an appearance
Broncos
on Sunday.
QB, he won't play. There's no way he'll play. It has to be Love that plays.
It's got
It has
to be the love machine that starts,
Yep.
and then Bortles as a backup if he breaks both his legs and
Yeah.
they won't allow a wheelchair onto the field.
They've
I
got
think that's the
is
only
it
way
Kurt
that
Benkert as well.
Bortles
They've got
is-
as their kind of third string.
You
So-
know more than I do about the Packers depth chart, but
I did a quiz at the beginning of the season about backups.
I could have done a
and
third
I
stringer.
still
Yeah, I
don't
could
know.
have done third string for the
Yeah.
Packers, but Dave didn't ask that question.
Would you like to know the World Health Organization's definition between the difference between a vaccination and an immunization?
Sounds
No.
interesting.
Well, I'll be very quick. So a vaccination is where a vaccine stimulates someone's own immune system, whereas an immunization, and this is the key bit, an immunization is a process wherein a person is made immune or resistant to an infectious disease. So there you go. I think that's the key part of it. It's a process in which someone is made immune or resistant to an infectious disease.
so here is my process for making you all immune to an infectious disease.
I
there
mean,
you go.
mine's
You're
chocolate.
done. You're immunized.
Mine's chocolate and lager.
Spread marmalade and Marmite across half your body, and get the cat to lick it off. There
Don't
you
go outside.
That's the process of treatment.
You might get in trouble if you go outside.
I mean, that's the other thing.
Around your face.
Yeah, my immunization is don't go outside, and when I do, wear a gas mask. That's my immunization. It's bloody ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah,
But there you go. So I think that
Nuts.
helps clarify something.
we should have known when Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard got COVID. It was only a matter of time before Rodgers was going to catch that. So
I mean, it's amazing that Alan Lazard did catch it because quite often
Here we
things
go.
tend to go past him.
here we go.
There's no way OBJ's catching it. I'm sorry.
I mean, he's not the only quarterback that's spoken. Well, he didn't speak up about it until now, but Kirk Cousins, before the season started,
gonna
was
say
quite
Kirk
famously quoted as saying that he wasn't going to take the vaccine.
Cam as well. Cam didn't take the vaccine.
No.
Then all
He
of a
has
sudden
now.
got kicked out of the Patriots and decided, oh, actually, I'll probably better.
Yep, taking it now.
He's ready. He's waiting by the phone. So
You never know. Cam in Green Bay. Mm.
Cam in Pittsburgh. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Cam in Pittsburgh makes
Isn't
sense.
that
to me.
just
keep
replacing
saying
the
it.
same for the same?
No,
An
I mean
old
when Ben
washed
gets
up battered
when
quarterback for an old.
we'll
battered,
take
washed up
Aaron Rodgers
quarterback.
next year. We'll take him and Devontae Adams. They can come across as a pair on the cheap.
Devontae Adams.
Well, Devontae Adams is a free agent. Devontae Adams is a free agent, and
You
I
boys
think
do
Rodgers
realise
is-
that the Philadelphia Eagles have 3 picks in the first 11 of the draft, don't you?
Hmm.
at the moment.
Yeah.
So, hi Aaron, hi Devontae. There's my 3 picks.
Well, they're out of contract, so you don't need to give them draft picks.
Well,
Well,
there you
no,
go
you've
then.
got-
Even better,
we've got
isn't
the
it?
most
But
salary cap
sweeten the
room.
pot. It doesn't matter.
Mm.
You can create salary cap room. Especially the Eagles. They're a young
We got
team.
it.
They've got loads of room.
Well,
I
Yeah,
mean,
so
if we're
who wants to
talking-
go and play in Pittsburgh, man?
Are we really having an
Philadelphia.
argument? Are we really having an argument about cap room for next year? Because
I thought you
mean,
loved
that
this.
could be massaged. That could be massaged within an inch of its life.
That's
I
what
mean,
you understood now. You
I
spent years
wrote an-
watching the cap room, and then of course the Saints made a mockery of it, and then you really realised that actually,
No, all
don't worry about
all
the
the
cap.
Saints have been doing. All the Saints have been doing is kicking the can down the road, and now they're in trouble with it. That's all
believe when I
they've
see
been
it.
doing for a long time. That it absolutely is. I think with the Steelers have to do something, and I wrote a whole
Talking
article on
about
this
the
about
Steelers now.
what the possibility is for the Steelers' natural segue, and I don't know which way they can go other than Aaron Rodgers, really, because
It's
keeping
a
Ben's
terrible
not an
decision.
option. It is. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's the first time you've had to make this decision in 13 years.
18,
Well, at least the
18
last 7
years.
years, and you just haven't made it. So what's to
No.
say you're going to make it this year?
I mean, that was the thing. One of the
Nothing.
things that we did when we did the most underrated, most overrated quarterbacks. Punks, yours was.
Don't give it away.
Roethlisberger.
Don't give it away. Make people
I'm
pay
giving
for
it.
it. Come
I'm
on.
giving it away.
Pure
What's up with
clickbait.
you?
Pure clickbait.
Dreadful. Dreadful. You're
Anyway,
supposed to leave it hanging there.
all right. Well, look,
Let's leave that
anyway.
out.
let's leave it
Bleep
now.
that
Okay,
out,
we've
Jim,
been
bleep that
through the
out.
trade deadline. We've done a Ruggs update. We've done a Rodgers update. I'm looking forward to the weekend to watch some Week 9 games. Thank you very much, boys, for coming on this this video. And yeah, guys, if you like this video and you aren't currently signed up to Patreon, please look to do so, because we look to do these kind of things quite often, and posting up blogs and yeah, articles and things like that. So we've got some other ideas for things we want to do on the channel as well. So if you can, please drop a subscription on there, because that's what really helps us out, as well as the free pod. So until next time, I've been Jim, that's been Punk Raider, that's been Never Dave. Thanks for watching.